Welcome to the Bandwich Tapes. I'm Brad Williams. On this episode, I'm joined by drummer Joe Dyson, recorded in person here in St. Louis as he's on tour with Pat Metheny. Joe is one of the most exciting drummers working today, deeply rooted in the tradition, but constantly pushing the music forward. In this conversation, we talk about his early musical influences growing up in church, the influence of New Orleans on his playing, and the mentors who helped shape his path. We also get into the importance of listening, the process of developing your own voice, and what it's like to be inside the music with one of the great artists of our time. This is a conversation about lineage, growth, and the lifelong pursuit of becoming a better musician and a better listener. Here's my conversation with Joe Dyson. Joe, it's a pleasure to hang out and talk with you today. How are things going?
Oh, things are great now that I'm here.
As we were catching up before we started, this is close to episode 150 for me, and this is the first time I've ever done this in person. So this is an honor. I couldn't think of anyone that I would rather talk with than you, so this is really cool.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. As we're recording this, you're playing in our town tonight in St. Louis, Missouri, which we'll be going to the show too. Hear you with Pat Metheny, and how's the tour going so far?
The tour is going great. We've been out for about a month now, and the show is incredible. Every night we're growing higher and higher in the music, and the chemistry is incredible. Jermaine Paul, who's a new addition on bass, and Leonard Patton, they've been really great on the road, and obviously the connection from the trio from last time with Chris Fishman and obviously with Mr. Metheny. It's been incredible. And we're also playing new compositions this time. So it's been a journey to find our spaces in the music, and, you know, it's just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I can't wait I'm going to chat about the new album. Your playing is just magnificent on it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for checking it out.
The drums sound so good too. Yeah, it's just recorded really well. You just sound fantastic.
Thank you
for that. I was reading about your journey as a musician, and I was intrigued by how really early music came into your life. And do you remember the first time you experienced the drums and what that feeling was like for you?
Being at the actual drum set for me was, I was at church. I had seen my uncle play. At the time I had a younger uncle who would play in the church, and we had a Rogers kid, and I also remember my older uncle. He would come. He's someone who really works offshore, so when he would come into town, it would be this really special moment. So watching them play, just really excited me. And I remember coming home, trying to replicate the sounds and taking out pots and pans and using hangers, the bottoms of the hangers as sticks to play. And my parents saw that I was really interested in this, and my uncles saw, and he gave me his pair of sticks, my first pair of sticks was his last pair of sticks in high school. So I just, that was the first moment. I always remember watching them and just being glued to them. Even playing on the Bible, I would take my hangers and take my sticks with me and just try to mimic everything that I saw.
Oh, that's amazing. I knew you grew up in church, and what do you think that experience shaped your relationship with groove and just understanding rhythm growing up, hearing music in the church?
Well, I think the music in church is purposed in a sense. Like we're all gathered there for, a common understanding of offering something, the best of yourself to a higher power.
Yeah.
So I think that in general helps give me or anyone really that grows that plays in church usually has a different connection. We're always in tune with the music and trying to figure out how can we serve the music and offer something special to the listener.
Yeah. And I knew you grew up in New Orleans, and we were just talking about, we lived in Louisiana for a little while, and just an amazing place and just so deep in culture and music. Did you have a moment in your life when you realized that everywhere else wasn't like what it was in New Orleans culturally and musically?
Yes, absolutely. The first time that I left New Orleans on my own, I was 15 years old, and I left for Berklee College of Music for the 5-week summer blowout, which is a great program, and so many students that are there and everything. That's beautiful. But it's in Boston, so it's a different town. It's a college town, but it's also a colonial town in a sense. So going there and seeing, everything, and then coming back home was like, okay, so we have different cultures, different ideas. Then after Katrina, once Katrina hit, I got an opportunity to actually go back to school in Massachusetts. I lived in Amherst, New Hampshire, and went to school in Groton, Massachusetts at Lawrence Academy. So I really got to see another side of the state and another side of, America in general. And in those moments, I really started to understand the fabric of New Orleans and how culturally the practices there are so strong, and there's the cultural bearers are usually holding on to every identity that they possibly can, and that doesn't necessarily resemble itself in other spaces in America. And that's when I really realized this is a special thing, and we need to hold on to it as much as possible.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We lived there for about 2 years, and we lived in Lafayette, and just blown away with the culture. And literally the best food I've ever had in my life. It's just unbelievable. We still talk about how much we miss all of the restaurants in Louisiana.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you get to go back very much?
I do. Usually I try to visit when I'm not touring. I usually bring my family now with me. I have a daughter, and we actually was just there for Mardi Gras.
Oh, cool. That's great.
Yeah, spending time right before the tour. So, I usually try to go at least maybe 2 or 3 times out the year. It's usually coincided with Mardi Gras or Jazz Fest, or sometimes in the summer. There's a few times I would come home during Christmas time. I used to put on this project called Christmas in Treme, which was another program we used to put on music for the community and have them come out and just enjoy.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Yeah, we haven't been in a while, but we talk about taking a trip. It's funny, as we're recording this, I can see my son, who is over my left shoulder, who's hanging out. He lives in Austin, Texas, but he's here for the weekend, and he went to school at LSU and studied percussion there. So he has a special love for all things Louisiana as well.
Absolutely.
Boudin and all that stuff,
Boudin, crackling, all that.
Yes, yes, sir. I would love to hear if you could just talk about your mentors like Alvin Batiste and Donald Harrison, and what did you take from them that you probably couldn't get at a Berkeley or somewhere like that at a music school?
Well, for one, my relationship with Alvin Batiste and Donald Harrison started very early. I met them at the Louis Satchmo Armstrong Jazz Camp down in New Orleans, which is a program that was helped put on by the great Jackie Harris. And at the time, the artist in residence was Donald Harrison, and the artistic director was Edward Kidd Jordan. So my relationship, under them was, I was a child. I was 9 years old, looking up to them and hanging on to every word. Alvin Batiste was an incredible instructor who taught, obviously, from adolescents to college students. And he can capture the attention of everyone. Everyone could be in a room and everyone is holding on to every word. He would have these philosophical phrases that he would have us repeat. And in some ways, it was almost like planting seeds inside the mind of the student. Some of them didn't actualize in the moment. Like sometimes now, something may happen and I'm listening to a phrase that pops up that's from Mr. Bad, and I'm like, okay, that's what he meant. This is what this is for, and it just grows with you. Someone like Donald Harrison, he, obviously is an amazing artist and saxophonist and composer and just brilliant mind, brilliant artist. And, to have someone that's on the scene actually working throughout the year and come back to your hometown and offer that time and offer the experience and share the wisdom, just meant everything. My first interaction with him was actually during a lunch period. We had a moment where I was in a practice room and he came in and saw that I was all by myself practicing during the lunch hour, where kids are usually either eating or playing recess, playing, some type of sport or running around. So he's just like, what are you doing in here all by yourself? And I'm like, oh, I'm just trying to practice, trying to get the lesson that was taught to us earlier. So there's 2 drum sets set up, and he sits at one of the kids and he just asks questions to me saying, hey, do you know Philly Joe Jones? And, my 9-year-old brain at the time, I was just like, oh, I never heard of him. So he said, have you ever heard of Art Blakey? And I'm like, no, I haven't heard of him. He said, have you ever heard of Roy Haynes or Elvin Jones? I'm like, no, I haven't heard of them. So he starts to play these ideas on the kit, and he plays it in a way that he wants to invite me to play it back at him to see what I can catch. So this goes on for about, 30 or 40 minutes, just back and forth, back and forth. And he gets up and he smiles and he says, you're going to be all right, kid. I'm going to look out for you.
Oh, it's
and
amazing.
He literally did that throughout my entire time in New Orleans. He would come back periodically, just popping up at random spaces and stand on the wall and watch and listen. And then he would point to me and say, looking at me like I remember. And then, eventually by the time that I got to high school, I went to one of his programs at Tipitina's interns, and he saw me there and he smiled and he was just like, you're the kid that was at the camp, right? And I was just like, yes, sir. And immediately put me to work and gave me a bunch of ideas to work on. And he realized that I was really picking up on it and started hiring me to perform with them in the city. And eventually I started to tour with him. Like right after I finished, I started going to Europe with him. This is like right when I'm moving into Berkeley. Me and my roommate at the time, Max Moran, who was also in the band with him as well. We moved into our dorm room during orientation and literally took a flight like that same week. And that's where for us the real lessons really started. Sound check is always like classrooms. is the last thing that he's doing at Soundcheck. Actually, he's spending most of that time giving us individual lessons and things that we should be working on and focused on. And he'll spend like 2 seconds going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the mic works. and he would expect us to apply the lessons in the actual performances to make sure that we it's not just theory. It's actual real application. And he wouldn't let you move past it until he knew that you understood the information. So just constantly building. I feel like that type of training you don't necessarily get in school. And I'm grateful for the opportunity, because I know that's not granted to everyone. And I'm also grateful for the moments and opportunities that I share with Mr. Bat. I got to know him as a teacher also throughout high school. I was working with him. I started performing in his band and learning some of his compositions and his arrangements, and being able to work with his wife, who was a great poet, and just learning stories. Towards the end of his life, I remember speaking with him and realizing how close New Orleans and just like Louisiana in general is. He asked me a question about a name. He asked me about my grandfather. He asked me what his name was, and I was just like, "Oh, it's Joseph Prophet Jr." And he was just like, "Yeah, that was my frat brother. He went to Southern University, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He was just like, "Yeah, we went to school together." And so I was just like, all this time, like I didn't know, but obviously he was aware, and just to have that type of relationship with someone who is a steward over your development and being able to see it through, even to his last moments is incredible. And I'm grateful for him and grateful for Donald.
Those are both just incredible examples of the power of a mentor showing how they believe in a student and what it can do. And I mean, I'm sure what you learned, what you listened to, what they taught you, directly or indirectly, you're probably carrying all of that to this moment right now, every day.
Absolutely. I hold it dear and close to my heart, for sure.
Yeah. There's so much power in someone believing in a young person like that. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. Do you attribute learning to be a good listener to being such a head start to being a successful musician, to just understanding how to listen quickly and understand what's going on around you? I think there's so much value in that.
Absolutely. Listening is one of the most important skill sets that we need in this industry and in music. For me, it started early on. I mean, like my first interaction with music, as we spoke about earlier, was in church. And my father is an organist. So when I got into the space of being able to play, I always had to learn how to listen and follow what he was doing so that I can support what was happening. And I didn't know it at the time, but thinking back on it, a lot of that material I didn't know. I mean, like some of it, yeah, you hear, but sometimes there's new moments that's happening in the music. And depending on, where the worship is at the moment in time, like things could go in different directions, and it's not necessarily planned. Mm-hmm. So you have to really be in tune, and you do so by listening, and you do so by watching. And that's like the first training ground that I experienced of that. Just being able to really be focused and vigilant about what's happening and how to be a part of it and not miss the moment.
Yeah.
And having that definitely helped me understand how to listen on a higher degree, playing with great artists like Mr. Bad and great artists like Donald Harrison, and even further than that, Dr. Lonnie Smith and Nicholas Payton and, all these guys, Ellis Marcellus. Being able to be in tune in that way, Pat Metheny, like being able to listen and focus that is what is an important skill set that we all need in order to stay in the moment and stay inside the music.
Yeah. And I just think it makes us better human beings too, because I feel like listening is kind of not as prevalent as it was earlier in the world. And I think it needs to be more important than maybe it is right now.
Of course, of course. On and off the stage.
On and off the stage, listening is important. People should probably do it more.
Absolutely, absolutely.
One of the things you were talking about, Elvin Jones and Roy Haynes and Philly Joe, and one of the things I'm always drawn to in your playing is that there's a sense of you honoring what came before you while still simultaneously pushing the art form forward. Is that a conscious decision of yours, or is it just something that's kind of been a byproduct of what you developed over your career?
I believe that it is conscious in some ways, but at this point, it's a part of what I do. Is I've always been a student of the music and constantly researching. One of the great statements that I remember Mr. Metheny making when I first joined the band was that every night we get a chance to research and get closer to what the music is.
Oh, wow.
And I took that with me because it's what we live by. Every night I get to put to practice and put in use what I've learned. How did these great artists before us, how did they apply what they were working on, what they were developing, what they were creating? We can, there's scrolls and albums and tons of information that's out there that we can all learn from and extract from and understand, how does it work? How does it develop and try to understand how can you add that to what you're doing and use them accordingly. And then hopefully, if possible in our lifetime, maybe we can also stumble on something. There's a phrase I used to write in my dorm room. I used to have a big whiteboard, and I remember listening to an interview of Clark Terry. He also would say the process that an artist must take towards innovation. And first process is imitation. The second is emulation, and then the third is innovation. So for me, like that's constantly what I'm going through. Like nothing comes out of a vacuum. So I'm constantly looking to what came before and trying to figure out how to add it to myself and how can I now push it forward.
Yeah. The product is obviously important, but the process to me is probably more important than anything else.
Absolutely. How did your relationship with Pat Metheny
come about? How did you guys start working together?
I always like to tell this story because maybe someone else can learn from my story. The first time that I made contact with him was actually through email, and he emailed me, and I saw the message, but I disregarded the message because I thought it was spam. Because why would someone like the great Pat Metheny write me a message at this time? So I think nothing of it, and probably a week, 2 weeks go by, and luckily the pianist that was in the band at the time, James Francis, was performing on a show that I was performing as well with the great Jaleel Shaw at the Jazz Gallery in New York City, and we had just finished the first set, and we were talking during the break before the second set, and he was just like, "Man, you sound great, man. I have a question for you. Did you ever get a message from Pat Metheny?" And I was just like, "Oh, you got that too? Yeah, that was a spam message, right?" And he looked at me, he was just like, "No, I think that's the real thing. You should write that back immediately."
Oh my gosh.
So I go home immediately, and I write the message because my phone is dead. Get on the computer, write him an email, and I was just like, "Mr. Metheny, I'm so sorry. I thought this was spam." And he laughed and was just like, "Oh, it's okay. It happens all the time." So from there, he reached out and had me to come out to his house, and we played and we recorded. And he would always say, "I recorded that first time that we played, and I'm always going back to the recording because there's something about it that I'm fascinated with." So he would just have me continue to come back and play, and then eventually ask me to come up and play with the trio outside of the apartment and have all of the equipment there to see how it actually really feels. And we had a great time, and after we finished playing, I said, "Oh, thank you guys for having me." And everyone was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's great. I really enjoyed it." And then they kind of got off the instrument and like walked back to their spaces as I'm breaking down. And I was just like, "This is weird. No one's breaking down." So I said, "Okay, I'll see you guys later." And he's just like, "Oh yeah, we'll see you later." And I was just like walking down the stairs like, "Did I just do an audition?"
I think you did an audition.
I was like, I never done an audition, but at the time I was just like, this is an audition. He reached out and said, "Hey man, I really enjoyed our playing. Right now I'm doing this tour, but I have something in mind that I really want to keep you in a loop with." And sent me a message like a few weeks later asking me to perform. And I think the date was somewhere around like March 2020.
Oh dear. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So from there, he, obviously because of the pandemic, we had to push some dates back. But he was just like, "Hey man, I know that things are, moving around, but don't worry, we're going to get to playing. In the meantime, I'm writing this music. Here, check this stuff out. Put your ear to it." And he just kept sending music throughout the pandemic. It was just like, put your ears to this and learn this. And I mean, this was like long music,
yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I'll do my best. And then finally, when we got the chance to play, we all played together and made the first tour, which was September 2021.
Wow.
So that was my rendition. So if you see an email, you should just check back with it.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Just keep replying until they ask for money.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then move on. Yeah. Wow, that's a really cool story. That's so funny. I've heard some stories about that with him, that like he left someone a voicemail and they thought it was a joke. There's no way that guy's calling me.
Of course.
And now you're playing on this new album that just came out, Side Eye 3+. I think
that's correct. Yes.
Title. And man, you sound just fantastic. I was telling you before we started recording, your drums sound so good.
Oh, thank you.
Just everything is so good. I just had the opportunity last week to chat with Mark Kibble, who arranged the vocal stuff.
Incredible.
And a member of Take Six. And we were talking about the album as well and just how beautiful it sounds. What is the experience like being in the studio with those musicians? Because I imagine he's quite a particular person for his vision for what a project is.
Yeah, no, we had a great time recording. It's a lot of work for sure. Like we would start recording. I mean, like I believe the first day they may have taken an hour to set up the equipment, but after that we literally worked probably from, I don't know, like 12 hours, possibly 10 to 12 hours. With small breaks, not much, but it was a lot of work just going through the material, and just an incredible process. He is constantly involved throughout the music, and there was be moments where he'll hear something and was maybe come back the next day with 2 other pages and scratch the other 2 pages and say, like, let's try this, let's get to this. And he's really trying to get to the heart of the music, and it's just a sign of a great artist. We're in St. Louis now, and reminds me of the great Miles Davis. I remember being in the studio with Donald Harrison, and he would talk about his time with Miles, and Miles used to talk about recording and music as the process of editing, and not in a sense of like, oh, let me fix this sound, let me do this and all that type of stuff. It was more so in the artistic fashion of how a sculptor is reducing the sculpture itself to get to the masterpiece, and always focused on the end goal. What is the idea that we're trying to get to? What's the larger picture? And Pat has the same thing. He's constantly just trying to get to what is the big picture, what is the end goal, and how can we get as close to that as possible. So every day that we recorded in the studio, it was just a masterclass in work ethic, and a masterclass in finding the moments and being able to portray that to the listener.
Yeah. And now you're on this huge tour. I mean, I don't even know how many dates there are. When I saw the list, it was just like, that's a lot of shows.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. How do you keep your energy up night after night? I mean, there's a lot of consecutive nights too. You guys are playing a lot.
Absolutely. One of the things that that's obviously important is sleep. So finding the moments where you can sleep is very important. We're currently on a tour bus, so we have bunk beds. So obviously getting comfortable with that space is important, so that you can sleep overnight. Sometimes you get to the next city, and hotels may not necessarily be ready. So getting inside a room could potentially be difficult. And sometimes it is. It is ready. You can get in the room, and maybe you can get to sleep. Maybe that depends on what's happening and where your energy is. But I feel like that's one of the main things. If you can get rest, and then also with me, I'm constantly making sure my immune system is up. I'm trying to eat healthy and make sure I'm getting good nutrients and vitamins and all these type of things. Just to stay the course, so that I don't get sick. And then also I have like a regiment that I usually do for just warming up. I learned from the last tour, previous tour, that usually when I don't warm up and I play about 20 minutes, I mean, for the first 20 minutes of the set, I'm usually, the muscles are like, not necessarily strained, but they're at their apex, where it's kind of hard to maneuver the smaller muscles and being able to move around. They're a little strained, I guess. And after the 20 minutes, the muscles set, the blood sets, and then, you're ready to go. So for me, I started to warm up prior to the show, just making sure that I stretch and take like 2 to 5 minutes set aside where I would play at like a certain BPM, like say for instance like 200 BPM or something like that, and playing single rows straight and then doing double rows straight, just to like get the muscles at their max. And after that, have the muscles settle down right before the show, so that when it's time, you're actually set, and you can actually play. And luckily, Pat is really great at putting a show together. We play for about 2.5 hours, but it's never a situation where you feel like I'm playing 2.5 hours and I feel every minute of it. Like there are moments where it's paced, where you can reset, and it's not as intense, and the music really comes off. Anyone that's sitting in the audience, you don't realize that time has went by. Same with with the musicians on stage. We don't feel that it's been 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
We're all just inside of it. We're all inside the music together.
Yeah. I imagine it's exciting to bring a couple of additional members out on this tour.
Absolutely.
And I know Chris Fishman is he's such an incredible musician, but he's probably enjoying having a little less responsibility of also being the bass player.
Oh yeah.
But how is it playing in this group and having a bass player in the group? Is it kind of changed your approach or how you're approaching the music at all?
Well, if anything, I think it's just added another layer of depth to the music. There's a certain vibrational aspect to having a bassist playing the double bass that exists inside of the music now. That's just really beautiful to have. And he's the great thing about these musicians. They all are have really strong rhythm. Like Chris is actually a really great drummer. Outside of playing piano and being able to play the bass part in his left hand. Jermaine is also a great drummer. I got the chance to see these guys play, and before sound check, when the stage is being set, sometimes we come to the stage early, and I'm supposed to come there to tune, and I see them at the drums hanging out playing, which is always great for me because it's nice to be able to obviously see the talent, but also I can hear the drums on the other side and see how it sounds. So, by them having just such strong rhythm, I think it leads to having endless possibilities in the music. You know that you can go for something and you don't have to worry about if it would be understood.
Right.
You have the support on both sides. You have the support from the harmonic space, and you also have the support on the bottom, from the bassist, and really great. And then also having Leonard there is, it's been incredible. He's been like a nice bed to rest inside of the music, and having the support. And then also just his vocals is, really magical. Every night it's incredible to witness because, because we've worked so hard for this tour. Every night he's executing at a level, and it's different when the instrument is at your fingertips, or it's something that is not a part of you, but his instrument is a part of him, and he's executing every night, which is amazing to watch.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I know you guys are playing a lot of Pat Metheny group tunes, and some of I try to not watch too much, so it's going to be a surprise, but I've seen a little bit. And I think you guys play some stuff, and you have on previous tours playing some stuff with some stems. And is that a new territory for you, playing live with some of that stuff?
In this aspect, it's new because it's interactive in a lot of ways. We have orchestrion, which is, I still don't understand how that actually works. It's like another member of the band. So there's a lot of moments where we're playing and we're interacting, and finding new spaces inside of the music, and making sure that it's always a way to check what is your energy of the day. Like, are you anxious? Are you super excited? Because that could potentially, tell you like, oh, I'm a little ahead. Or, let me calm down. Let me breathe. Or I'm dragging. I'm a little sluggish. So that that's always a nice checkpoint in the music. But also like in general, I've played with other projects where they may use stems or use backing tracks and things of that nature, where it's a little it's more so about the groove and just laying a foundation,
right.
Supporting that. And this aspect of how we use it on stage is much more interactive. Like, we're using it in somewhat in a improvisational way where the music is moving and things are happening and where things are changing on stage as it's happening. So it's exciting. It's different for sure. I think anyone who's leaning on the fence about buying a ticket to come to the show, it's something for everyone for sure. Like if you're into the PNG, like there's definitely something that you're gonna love. If you're into the trio stuff, there's something that you'll definitely love. Or if you're into the more experimental stuff like that he did with Arnett and some of the other projects, maybe Charlie Hayden, like there's something there for you. And if you're just into Pat's compositions and seeing where he's taking it, you're definitely want to see what's happening. So I would definitely just go ahead and bite the bullet and come out and see it for sure.
I talked about your drums earlier, how wonderful they sound. How did your relationship with Canopus drums start? And how long have you been playing those drums? They sound so good.
Thank you. I've been playing Canopus drums now for about 13 years. I first was introduced to them with one of my first performances in Japan. I was there with Sadao Watanabe, and I was playing with the trio with Aaron Goldberg's trio. We had Matt Pittman at the bass, Aaron Goldberg at piano, and myself at the drums. And they had the Canopus drums there at the club, at the Blue Note Club. And first interaction with them were incredible. I loved the sound of it. They really warm resonance, and the tuning just stayed there from night to night. I didn't have to change anything. It was incredible. And I got the chance to meet the A&R at the time, Taxi, and he stayed in touch and said, I want you to come out to the factory and hang out and, play some of the drums and see if there's anything that you like. And from there, I just kept in touch. He actually came to New York during APAP at the time and Winter Jazz Fest, and had some of the drums provided for some of the festivals there. I got a chance to play them there, and finally went back to Japan for a second time and during that moment, that's when I decided this is, where I would like to be for sure. Signed with them, and my first kit with them was the Yaiba Groove Kit, which is a 22, I believe 22 by 18 inch bass drum. And then there is I had a larger kit from them. So it was a 10 inch tom, and I had the 12 inch tom. I had a 13 inch tom, a 14 and a 16 floor tom, and a 14 by 5.5 snare drum. And those drums, I still play those drums today. They're just, really well crafted. Just one beautiful shell, and the resonance on them are really beautiful. I've played them with different styles of heads.
So I was going to say they're so versatile sounding.
Yes, absolutely,
amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just really, really incredible. I've also got a chance to play, other fashions of their drums as well, with other projects, and they're just very consistently making great product, great sound.
Yeah, they sound so good. I do think the little bit of it has to do with the fact that you're playing them, but I do think the drums sound fantastic.
Now, scientifically, I know this does not exist, but we always use this term, our last nerve. Get on your last nerve. I think you understand what I'm saying. When you've tried to bring about peace, joy, serenity, it seems that they won't leave you alone. And I pause there for a moment.
Before we go, I did want to chat about your solo album. Which
oh, wow. Thank you.
So good. Look Within, and I just love it. And you waited a while, right, to do a record as a leader, and what told you it was time? What kind of led to that, you wanting to do that?
So interestingly enough, I actually started working on music. I want to say it was an exercise that I started. This is some time ago now. I started writing compositions and saying, like, I want to start this exercise of really just documenting what I hear in the moment, either writing it down on paper, or if I can, like, sing it into the voice memo and then come back to it and really develop it. And was able to put a project together, put a band together, I should say, and have some people like play through these compositions. And it was just like, oh, these are really great. You should do more of this. So I started doing concerts in New Orleans, and, really developing it. We did Jazz Fest down there, my first time as a leader. And then finally I said, I'm going to put some time aside and record. I recorded the project, I want to say August of 2018, and had a great time doing it and documenting the moment. And I sat on the project for some time, and I said I was going to come back to it. And, I just want to come back to it with fresh ears so that I can, make sure I'm mixing right and making sure that it's not the emotional moment that I was listening to, and that what I actually heard is what I heard. And 2 years had gone by just because I was working and touring, and I had my daughter October of 2018, so I was really working. And the pandemic slowed everyone down. We sat home, and probably about 2 weeks into it, my partner Casey, she said, you have an album that you're sitting on, and you've always said that, you just are looking for time to listen to it, but you want to give yourself time. I think that time is now. So I used the pandemic, as a blessing to be able to really invest into listening to the project in its entirety and being able to mix it and get it mastered and really just follow the full process of what it takes to release an album. And I had great help from my partner with Casey and a lot of friends reaching out to them, and was able to finally release it. Was at March of 21, which is at this point I think it's like 5 years at this point. So I'm super grateful for the moment, and I'm super grateful for the time, the musicians and the artists that shared a part of that project, and really helping me build the sound and putting it all together. I was able to tour on that project as well. I was able to get to Europe. First time performing at the Angry Jazz Festival in the Terceira Islands, right off of Portugal.
Wow.
I've also performed in Spain with the project at Classy Jazz in Almeria, Spain. I performed in France at the Duc de Lombard in Paris, and was able to move around a little bit in the States as well. We did the Rochester Jazz Festival in New York, and did Jazz Fest in New Orleans, the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Jazz Festival twice. So just really excited from, everything that's come from the project. I'm actually currently working on my second album now.
Great.
Which is called Continuum. And I'm looking to have that one out, hopefully at least a single out by this fall.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We'll see what, I'm excited to see what comes of that one as well.
After you completed the project, then listening to it, releasing it, touring it, do you think it made you a different band member in someone else's project, having led your own? Do you think it changed the way you approach that?
Absolutely. Leading a band in general is a whole different process, and it's another job, especially like if you're someone who is a part of all of the processes. Like you're performing the music, you're also writing the music, arranging the music, you're choosing the members of the band to perform the music. You're also the person that has to wear the managerial hat, who has to put shows together and put the logistics together. You're also the travel agent who is buying the flights and buying the hotels. And, you're also the PR. You have to put the verbiage together. You have to put the signage together and promote the band. So there's just all these aspects to the leader in general that I found much more respect for. And I've already in a lot of aspects as a band member, as a side member, show my respect to the music and make sure that I'm offering my best self. But now I have way more respect and admiration for any leader that is leading their project. And especially if I'm a part of it, I want to make sure that they have exactly what they need from me. And if there's anything else that I can offer assistance with, I'm, usually down to do so, just because I know what it actually takes now. Yeah. So, that's definitely something I learned from it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it is having been a band member and then led my own bands over the years. Personally, I would take being in someone else's band any day of the week.
Of course.
There's so much responsibility
Absolutely.
going on with that. So, yeah, I'm with you. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. I could just sit here and hang out with you all day. I know we both have things we need to get done, and you have to go get ready to play a show tonight that we're coming to, which is really exciting. I just can't thank you enough for spending some time and hanging out. I've had a really good time.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and best of luck on the tour. Best of luck with the new album, life with the family, just everything. Blessings to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow or subscribe to the Bandwich Tapes wherever you listen, and consider leaving a rating or review. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.